Hello everyone, this is Glenda and welcome back to Creative Grandma. Today we're going to do the crochet tutorial for the Stacked Shells Shawl. This is a free downloadable pattern that is available at acmore.com and it's also available at www.premieryarns.com. Both websites carry this free downloadable pattern, so visit the websites. Now this video is a special video that is sponsored by AC Moore and premieryarns.com. They have been generous enough to give me special permission to bring this crochet tutorial to you, and they also have given me the yarn to do this video. So thank you so much. I appreciate that. It's wonderful that you allow me to bring this video to my subscribers, and I really appreciate that, and I know my subscribers appreciate it. So with this beautiful shawl, we're going to work this beautiful stitch pattern. We're going to work 1/2 first, and then we're going to come back to the foundation row, and then we're going to work in the opposite direction. So we work the 1/2 first, come back to the foundation row, work the other half, and then we're going to put these gorgeous little tassels on here to give it some bling and fling to the shawl, just a great added accent. I'll be right back. I'm going to tell you everything you need to get this project started, and we're going to jump right in and let's make this shawl today. To start our project, you're going to need 3 cakes, 3 balls, or 3 skeins of the anti-pilling DK colors. This is a Premier Yarns yarn. Very pretty, and I'm using color number 107113, the teacup. So you need 3 balls of that, or whatever color you choose. They have wonderful colors, so just pick a color that you like. And you're also going to need a US size G6 or a 4mm crochet hook. So to begin our shawl, I'm just going to attach my yarn onto my hook. I just use a double knot and I tie that right onto my hook. You can use whatever method you prefer to join your yarn. Now this pattern, this shawl, will begin at the center of the shawl. We're going to work it halfway down one side, and then we're going to rejoin in the foundation chain and continue down the other side. So let's zoom up, attach your yarn to your hook, and we're going to begin with a chain 73. You're going to yarn over, pull the yarn through the loop on your hook. That creates your first chain. Yarn over, pull through, that's 2. Yarn over, pull through, that's 3. Continue until you have a chain with 73 chains. When you get done with your chain, make sure you double check your chain count, because you don't want to get started on the wrong foot with the wrong number of chains. So go ahead and start, make a chain of 73 chains. I'll meet you when I'm finished. I have my chain with 73 chains made. I did a double count, made sure my chain count was correct. And now we're going to start row 1. So let me zoom back up. For row 1, we're going to start by working a double crochet into the 4th chain from hook. So you're going to yarn over the hook, you're going to skip 1, 2, 3 chain, insert your hook into that 4th chain, work a double crochet, yarn over, pull through that chain. You have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, and pull through 2. Now with this pattern, when you skip this beginning chain 3 here at the beginning, this counts as your first double crochet. This counts as your second double crochet into that next chain. You're going to work 1 double crochet into the next chain, yarn over the hook, insert into that next chain, and work a double crochet. So with this pattern, your first stitches in the beginning of the row, you'll have 3 double crochet, and then you will end with 3 double crochet at the end of the row. So now we're going to begin our repeat. So if you need help, this is where you'll click back on the video. You'll click back to where I say this is the start of the repeat for row 1, and you'll work it until I say this is the end of the repeat, and then you'll continue that down your chain. So let's begin This is the start of our repeat. We're going to yarn over, we're going to skip the next 2 chain, 1, 2. You're going to insert into the next chain, and you're going to work 3 double crochet. There's 1, yarn over, insert into that same chain, work your second double crochet. That's 2. Yarn over, insert back into that same chain, work your third double crochet. Sometimes it's a little hard for me until I get enough to get my fingers on so I can hold my work in place. Now we're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and then we're going to work 3 more double crochet into that same chain space. Yarn over the hook, insert back into that same chain, work 3 double crochet. There's 1, yarn over the hook, insert back into that same chain, work your second double crochet, yarn over the hook, insert back into that same chain space, and work your third double crochet. You just created a shell stitch. You worked 3 double crochet, chain 2, and 3 double crochet all into that same chain space. You're going to skip the next 2 chain, 1, 2, and you're going to work 1 double crochet in each of the next 5 chain. So let's begin. Yarn over the hook, skip the next 2 chain, insert into that next chain, which is the 3rd chain, work a double crochet. That's 1. Yarn over the hook, insert into the next chain, work a double crochet. That's 2. Yarn over the hook, insert into the next chain, work a double crochet. That's 3. Yarn over the hook, insert into the next chain, work a double crochet. That's 4. Yarn over the hook, insert into the next chain, work a double crochet, and that's 5. That is the end of the repeat. So for your repeat, you're skipping 2 chain, you're working your 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet shell into the next chain, you're skipping 2 chain, and then you're working 1 double crochet in each of the next 5 chain. So let me show you one more time the repeat. Again, this is where you'll start for the repeat. To start the repeat, you're going to yarn over, you're going to skip the next 2 chain, 1, 2, insert into the next chain, and you're going to work 3 double crochet, chain 2, and 3 double crochet. There's our first double crochet, yarn over, insert back into that same chain, work your second double crochet, yarn over the hook, insert back into that same chain, work your third double crochet. You're going to chain 2, 1, 2, yarn over the hook, insert back into that same chain, and you're going to work 3 double crochet. There's 1, yarn over the hook, insert back into that same chain, work your second double crochet, yarn over the hook, insert back into that same chain, and work your third double crochet. Your shell stitch is made. You have 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet, all in that same chain. Now you're going to yarn over, you're going to skip the next 2 chain, insert into the next chain, work a double crochet. This is 1 of 5. Yarn over the hook, insert into the next chain, work a double crochet, That's 2. Yarn over the hook, insert into the next chain, work a double crochet. That's 3. Yarn over the hook, insert into the next chain, work a double crochet. That's 4. Yarn over the hook, insert into the next chain, work a double crochet, and that's 5. And that is the end of your repeat. So when you look at your work, you can see the start of the repeat with the shell stitch and then the 5 double crochet, shell stitch and 5 double crochet, and you're skipping those 2 chains. So if you need help, click back on the video where I say this is the start of the repeat. So work across to the end of row 1, and when you make your last shell stitch, I'll meet you there and then I'll finish the row. You should have a total of 5 chains left when you finish this last shell. So repeat that pattern across. I'll meet you at the end of row 1 where you make your last shell, and you should have 5 chains remaining. I'll meet you there. I'm over at the end of row 1. I made my last shell stitch, and then you should have a total of 5 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're going to yarn over your hook. You're going to skip the next 2 chain, 1, 2, insert into that 3rd chain, work a double crochet. Yarn over the hook, insert into the next chain, work a double crochet. Yarn over the hook, insert into the last chain across the row, and end with a double crochet. So I'm going to take my hook out. I'm going to zoom out. For row 1, you're going to have a total of 7 shell stitches. You're going to start with that beginning chain 3 and 2 double crochet, your shell stitch, and then 5 double crochet in between each shell stitch across. And when you get to the end of the row, you end with 3 double crochet at the end. So you're starting with 3 double crochet and you're ending with 3 double crochet. So now let's begin row 2. Row 2 is the row that you're going to do throughout this pattern. So it's very, very easy. We're going to begin row 2 with a chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. This beginning chain 3 counts as your first double crochet of the row. You're going to turn your work, and because this chain 3 counts as your first double crochet, you're going to skip this first stitch of the row. You're going to yarn over, you're going to come over to your second double crochet, that one right in the middle, and you're going to work a double crochet. Yarn over the hook, insert into the next double crochet, and work a double crochet. So what you're doing is you started with a chain 3 that counts as the first double crochet, and then you worked 1 double crochet in each of those next 2 stitches. So you always start with 3 double crochet and you're going to end with 3 double crochet. Now we're going to work our shell stitch, and we're going to skip the beginning of the shell stitch, these 3 double crochet, and we're going to be working right in the chain 2 space in the center of each shell across. You're going to yarn over, skip those next 3 double crochet, insert into the center of that shell stitch in that chain 2 space, and you're going to work a shell stitch of 3 double crochet. There's 1. Yarn over, insert back into that same space, work a double crochet, that's 2, yarn over, insert into that same space, and work a 3rd double crochet. You're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and now we're going to work 3 more double crochet right into that same chain 2 space. Yarn over the hook, insert into that same chain 2 space, and work 3 double crochet. 1, yarn over the hook, insert back into that same space, work your 2nd double crochet, that's 2, yarn over the hook, insert back into that same space, and work your third double crochet. And this is where the name comes from, stacked shell shawl, because you're stacking your shell stitches on top of each other. All you're doing is working that shell stitch right into the center of the shell stitch below. So now we're going to finish this repeat. I forgot to tell you where we began, so I'll just work another one with you. You're going to yarn over the hook. You're going to skip those next 3 double crochet of that current shell stitch. You're going to insert into the next stitch, work a double crochet. And when you look at your work, you'll notice that you're double crocheting into the first double crochet of that 5 double crochet group. Now we're going to work 1 double crochet in each of the next 4 stitches of that 5 double crochet group. Yarn over the hook, insert into the next stitch, work a double crochet. Yarn over the hook, insert into the next stitch, and work a double crochet. Yarn over the hook, insert into the next stitch, and work a double crochet. Yarn over the hook, insert into the next stitch, and work a double crochet. And that is the end of the repeat. And you'll notice, very easy repeat. Once you do this several times, you won't even have to look at the instructions. You'll just automatically know shell stitch in the shell stitch and 1 double crochet in each of the 5 double crochet between the shell stitches. You start with 3 double crochet and you're going to end with 3 double crochet. So let's do the repeat one more time. If you need help, click back on the video. This is the start of the repeat for row 2. You're going to yarn over the hook. You're going to skip the next 3 double crochet of that shell, insert into the chain 2 space right in the center of that shell stitch, and you're going to work 3 double crochet, chain 2, and 3 double crochet. So this is our second double crochet. Yarn over, insert back into that same stitch, work your third double crochet. You're going to chain 2, 1, 2, yarn over, insert back into that same space, work 3 more double crochet to finish that shell. 1, 2, and 3. Yarn over the hook. You're going to skip the next 3 double crochet of that current shell. You're going to insert your hook into the next stitch, which is the first double crochet of the 5 double crochet between the shell stitches, and we're going to work 1 double crochet in each of those 5 double crochet between the shell stitches. That's 1, insert into the next stitch, work a double crochet. That's 2, yarn over, insert into the next stitch, work a double crochet. That's 3, yarn over, insert into the next stitch, work a double crochet. That's 4, yarn over, insert into the next stitch, work a double crochet, and that's 5. That was the end of the repeat, and you can see how your pattern is forming. A shell stitch in the center of the shell stitch, and then 1 double crochet in each of the 5 double crochet between the shell stitches. So let me show you just one more time. Again, this is the start of the repeat. You're going to yarn over. We're going to work a shell stitch of 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet into the center chain 2 space. Insert into that chain 2 space, work 3 double crochet. There's 1, yarn over, insert back into that space, work your second double crochet, yarn over the hook, insert back into that same space, work your third double crochet. You're going to chain 2, 1, 2, yarn over the hook, insert back into that same chain 2 space, and work 3 double crochet. There's 1, 2, and 3. When you look at your work, you can see that your shell stitch is right in the center of the shell stitch below. You're going to yarn over. You're going to skip the next 3 double crochet of that current shell that you're working on, insert into the next stitch, and this next stitch is the first double crochet of that set of 5 double crochet in between the shell stitches. Work 1 double crochet in each of those 5 double crochet stitches. That was 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And that is the end of the repeat. And you can see, just look at your work, your shell stitch should be on top of the shell stitch below, and then you should have 1 double crochet in each of the 5 double crochet between those shell stitches. And then it repeats across: shell stitch in the center of the shell stitch, 1 double crochet in each of the 5 double crochet between the shell stitches. So go ahead and repeat that across. I will meet you when you work your last shell stitch. So when you're over here, go ahead and work that last shell stitch, and then I'll show you how to finish row 2. I'm over at the end of row 2. I just worked my last shell stitch into the last shell stitch across, and now I'm getting ready to finish the row. You're going to yarn over the hook. You're going to skip those last 3 double crochet of that last shell stitch. You're going to insert into the next stitch, which is the first double crochet of the ending 3 double crochet. Work 1 double crochet, yarn over the hook, insert into the next stitch, work a double crochet, yarn over the hook. Now you're over at that ending chain 3, which was the turning chain of that previous row. You're going to go right into the top of that turning chain and work a double crochet. And that is the end of row 2. So let me zoom out. I'm going to take my hook out of my work. So this is what your work should look like. Again, you start with those 3 double crochet. You start with that chain 3, then work 2 double crochet, work the shell stitch in the center of the shell stitch, 5 double crochet in between, and you just repeat that across to the end of the row where you end with 3 double crochet. So row 2 is your repeat row for your pattern. So now what you need to do is you're going to repeat row 2 until your piece measures 32 inches. Now I worked ahead and I came out with 72 rows total. Now this gauge is not real important with this pattern. So what you do is just measure from the end to the tip of your shell until you get to 32 inches. I'm going to come right back and show you my finished piece that I made up to 32 inches, and I came up with 72 rows. So it doesn't matter if you do not have 72 rows, it just matters that you got to 32 inches. So go ahead and repeat row 2, just click back on the video if you need help. Repeat row 2 until you get to 32 inches, and I'll be right back. I'm back. This is what my work looks like. This is the first half of the shawl. This is my foundation row down here, and I worked row 2 up until I got to 32 inches. When I counted my rows, I had a total of 72 rows. So when you measure from the very end of your foundation chain right up to the tip of this shell, it should measure 32 inches. Because everyone's gauge is different, I'm just giving you an estimate of what my row count was. So just use your judgment. When you get to this measurement of 32 inches, stop. Now what we're going to do is we're going to come back and we're going to start in the foundation row, and we're going to repeat row 2, and we're just working in the opposite directions. So when you look at your work, let me zoom in. So when you look at the work, you can see the points of your shell stitches going this way. Now when we start in the foundation chain and start in the opposite directions, your shells are going to be pointing in the opposite direction. It just makes a beautiful uniform pattern. I always leave this end here because this tells me this is the right side of my work. Now I ended on the wrong side, but that's okay. Just make sure you're on the right side facing of your work. And I always use this from my foundation chain because when I worked across that foundation chain for row 1, I ended over here where that snibbling of yarn is. So that's how I know this is the right side of my work. So now I'm just going to flip this around. So this snibbling of yarn is on the right hand side of where I am. Now I ended with this dark gray, so I'm going to pick up right with my yarn where I fastened off. So let me grab my yarn. Now I'm going to leave probably about a 10 to 12 inch length, and then I'll secure this when I'm all done. I'm just going to pull my new color through. So let me zoom back up. I'm going over here to the corner of my foundation chain, and you want to insert your hook right at the base of that first stitch. Insert your hook right into the base of that first stitch in the foundation chain. Pull your new color through, and I'm going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. You're going to yarn over, you're going to insert right into the base of that second double crochet stitch. So just follow that second stitch down, insert into that next chain, work a double crochet. Again, we're starting with 3 double crochet and we're going to end with 3 double crochet. You're going to yarn over, insert into that next double crochet stitch, right into the foundation chain of that stitch, and work a double crochet. We're just working our stitches right into the base of those stitches of row 1. Now we're going to yarn over, we're going to skip the next 2 chain. This is the start of your repeat. You're going to skip the next 2 chain in that foundation chain. You're going to insert your hook right into the center of that shell stitch, right at the base of that center of that shell stitch, and you're going to work a shell stitch of 3 double crochet, chain 2, and 3 double crochet. Yarn over, insert into that same space, work your second double crochet, yarn over the hook, insert back into that same space, work your third double crochet. You're going to chain 2, 1, 2, yarn over the hook, insert back into that same space, and work 3 more double crochet. There's 1, yarn over, insert back into that space, work your second double crochet, yarn over, insert back into that same space, and work your third double crochet. Now when you look at your work, you're going to find the 5 double crochet, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's in between those shell stitches, and your work's upside down. So all we're going to do is yarn over, find the first double crochet of that 5 double crochet group, insert your hook right into the base of that stitch in the foundation chain, work a double crochet. That's 1. Yarn over the hook, insert right into the base of that next stitch right in the foundation chain, work a double crochet. That's 2. Yarn over the hook, insert right into the base of that next stitch in the foundation chain, work a double crochet. That's 3. Yarn over, insert right into that next stitch, work a double crochet. You're going right at the base of the stitch into that foundation chain. Here's your stitch, follow it right down to that next chain, yarn over, and work a double crochet. If you have to, do a double stitch count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Your 5 stitches are made. Now you're going to jump over and work your shell stitch right in the center base of that shell stitch. Yarn over the hook, insert in the base, in the center base of that next shell stitch, and work a shell stitch of 3 double crochet. There's 1, 2, 3. You're going to chain 2, yarn over the hook, insert back into that same space, and work 3 more double crochet. There's 2, and there's 3. Now you're going to find the 5 double crochet in between the shell stitches. Here they are, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're going to work 1 double crochet right at the base of each stitch into that foundation chain over the next 5 stitches. Yarn over, insert into that next stitch right at the base, work a double crochet, that's 1. Yarn over the hook, insert in the base of that next double crochet right in the foundation chain, work a double crochet, that's 2. Yarn over, insert into the next chain right at the base of that next double crochet, and work a double crochet. That's 3. Yarn over, insert into the next stitch, work a double crochet, that's 4. Yarn over, insert into the next chain right at the base of that stitch, and work a double crochet, and that's 5. That's the end of the repeat. I'm going to show you one more time, and then you can continue to the end. You're going to yarn over, this is the start of the repeat. You're going to work a shell stitch in the center base of that shell stitch, insert into the center base of that shell stitch, work 3 double crochet, there's 1, 2, 3, you're going to chain 2, you're going to work 3 more double crochet all into the base of that same shell stitch, yarn over the hook, insert back into that space, and work 3 double crochet. There's 1, 2, and 3. Now you're going to look for those 5 double crochet in between those shell stitches, and we're going to work 1 double crochet into the base of each of those next 5 double crochet stitches right into the foundation chain. Yarn over the hook, insert into that first double crochet of the 5, work a double crochet, that's 1, yarn over, insert into the next stitch right into the base of that stitch in the foundation chain, work a double crochet, that's 2. Yarn over the hook, insert into the next chain at the base of that next stitch, work a double crochet, and that's 3. Yarn over, insert into the chain, the next chain at the base of that next double crochet, work a double crochet, and that's 4. We have 1 to go. Yarn over, insert into the next chain at the base of that next double crochet, and work a double crochet. Do a quick stitch count, 2, 4, 5, and that is the end of the repeat. So go ahead and repeat that across. I will meet you when you work your last shell stitch across, and then you should have 3 stitches remaining. I'll meet you there and show you how to finish this row. I'm over at the end of the row, and I worked my last shell stitch in the base of the last shell stitch across. So when you look at your work, you'll notice you have the 3 stitches remaining. You have 2 double crochet. Now you have these chains in between these 2 chains, but you have the 2 chains, and then you have 2 double crochet, and then you have your turning chain from that row 1. So now what we're going to do is yarn over. You're going to skip those 2 chains. You're going to insert right into the base of that first double crochet stitch, right into that foundation chain, work a double crochet. You're going to yarn over, insert into the base of the next double crochet stitch, and work a double crochet. And I know I'm saying the base, and to you you're working into the top of the stitch, but because we're working on the bottom of row 1, you're actually going into the base of those stitches, so I hope that didn't confuse you. You're going to yarn over, and you're going to come over and go into that first chain of that turning chain right at the top of your work, right into the top of that chain, and work a double crochet. So basically this was row 1 done all over again. We're just going into the opposite direction. So let me zoom out. So this is what your work should look like. You can see your shells are going this way, and now we work the first row going in the opposite direction, and this is what your work will look like. So now all you have to do is click back on the video, and you're just going to repeat row 2, and you're going to work as many rows as you did on the opposite side. So now for me, when I worked this first side of my shawl, it took me a total of 72 rows in order to get to 32 inches. So when you're working on the opposite side, you need to work the same amount of rows that you did on the first half. So if it took you 72 rows like it did me, then this is row 1, and you need to work a total of 72 rows on this side. So if it took you a different amount of rows, just match the first half of your shawl with the second half. So whatever amount of rows it took you to get to 32 inches, then make that amount of rows going in the opposite direction. So go ahead and repeat row 2, the same amount of rows it took you to get to 32 inches going down the second side. I'm going to go ahead and finish my second half and get to 32 inches, and when I get that done, I'll be back, and then all we have to do is the finishing touches with our fringe. I'll be right back. I'm back. I have both sides finished, so let me show you here what I have done. This was the first side that we worked on. So this is my 32 inches from the center out to the right hand side, and I got a total of 72 rows. Your row count may be different. And then we came back down here to the bottom of our foundation chain, and then I worked another 72 rows in the opposite direction for the other side of the shawl. So when you look at the pattern, let me zoom up here right on the center point. When you look at the shawl, your center point will have your shells going to the right, and then you'll see them going to the left. Your shawl should measure 64 inches from end to end. From one end, this is too long to get the whole thing in the video. So 64 inches from end to end. Now the only thing we have left to do is we have to make our tassels for the ends of where our shell stitches are. So what we do for the tassels is we need to cut 20 strands of yarn 12 inches long, and we need to do that 14 times. Now I accidentally threw some of my yarn away left over, so this is all I have. It's not enough to make all my tassels, so I need to run to the store and get another skein unless I search and find that other leftover yarn. But that's what happens when you work on more than one project. I tell myself to be organized. I think I'm organized, and then my stuff is everywhere. So when you're working on a project, I suggest you get a container or something to keep all your yarn labels, your project, and especially if you have a little bit of yarn left over that you're going to need to finish the project, make sure you put that in the container, or you're going to end up like me, and just that little bit of yarn that I misplaced is what I need to finish my project. So now I have to go to the store, get another cake of this yarn just to put my tassels on. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to just take my yarn, I'm just going to clip this here. So what you need to do is just take your yarn. You can get like a piece of tape or get a ruler or something and place it on your table, or get a book or something that you can wrap. But sometimes if you wrap too much, your strands will be uneven. So just lay it out, measure 12 inches, and then just cut on the 12-inch mark. You're going to do that a total of 20 times for each tassel. You'll have 20 strands for each tassel, and then when I get all mine done, so that's 20 strands times 14. Once you get all those cut, then I'll be back and we'll attach our tassels onto the end of our shawl. So go ahead and take your leftover yarn, get those strips cut, you need 20 strands, 12 inches long, and you need to do that 14 times. When I get mine done, I'll be back and we'll finish a shawl. I'm back. I have my 20 tassels cut. I have 20 strands of yarn, 12 inches long in each tassel. Now, what I suggest before you attach the tassels is do what I did. Now, I didn't end up with any gray. That's just how the yarn worked out. So you may have different colors. You may have all three colors of the purple, the white, and the gray. I ended up with just the purple and white. So what I did was I tried to figure out how to make it look nice going across my tassels, and I separated it because I don't have the same amount of colors to make it match. So I took my purple, I did purple, white, purple, white, purple, white, purple, but I was one white short, and that's how it comes out. So you just have to play around with the colors, get it figured out before you attach them. That prevents taking any out. Now I'm going to put these colors on this side, and on the next side I tried to even out my colors by going 2 purple, 1 white, 1 purple, 1 white, and 2 purple. So you kind of play with the colors so they look nice and they're kind of even in color and uniformity when you're putting them on. So I'm going to zoom up now and I'm going to show you how to attach your tassel. So now we're going to attach our tassels. Now I got a bigger hook. You might want to grab a bigger hook because you really need to catch all 20 strands of this yarn. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my hook and I'm going from the outside of the work, and we're coming underneath and through to the top of that beginning chain 2 space of that first shell. Take your 20 strands of yarn, fold them in half, insert your hook right through the center of all of those 20 strands of yarn. You're going to pull through that chain 2 space, pull up a big loop, take your hook underneath all that yarn, and then pull it through that loop on your hook, and then pull through, and then you're just going to tighten. And there is your first tassel. Now when I get these all done, you may have snibblings. I wasn't precise with my cut, so what I'll do is I'll trim each tassel when I get it done so they're uniform. So let me show you one more time. You're going to take your hook and you're coming from the outside underneath and through to the top of that chain 2 space of that next shell stitch. Grab your next tassel, that next 20 strands of yarn, fold it in half, take your hook, insert it right through the center of that tassel. You're going to pull it through that chain 2 space and pull up a loop. You're going to take your hook underneath the rest of that yarn at the bottom, wrap it around your hook, and then pull it through that loop. Pull your hook up and pull that yarn out, and then tighten. That is how we're making our tassels. So let me show you just one more time. You're going to take your hook, and please get a bigger hook because you really do need all that extra hook to grab all that yarn. You're coming from the outside, you're going underneath and back through to the top of that next chain 2 space. Grab your next tassel, fold it in half. I try to hold it tight when I'm doing this to help it so you can grab it better. Insert your hook right in the center of that yarn where you have it folded. Grab the yarn and pull it through the chain 2 space. Pull up a big loop. Oops, I dropped a piece of yarn. Pull up a big loop. Take your hook underneath the remaining strands at the bottom. Wrap it across the top of your hook and then pull it through the loop. Pull up on your hook and pull that yarn out and then tighten. So go ahead and attach all your remaining tassels. Make sure you manipulate the colors so it's uniform and it looks really nice. I'm going to attach my tassels. I'm going to weave in all my ends, and then I'll come back and show you the finished shawl. I'm back. My shawl is finished. My tassels are attached. I trimmed my ends, I weaved in my ends, and now our shawl is finished. This is just a beautiful crocheted pattern. I think it's a great pattern if you're trying to learn how to make other things. Just a couple techniques of very simple design that you can use in crochet while you're watching TV, and then the way you come back and work in the opposite direction. Just a nice way to learn little tiny skills that enhance your crochet projects. So this pattern is not my pattern. This is a Premier Yarn AC Moore pattern. This pattern is available online both at AC Moore and on Premier Yarn's website. It's a free downloadable pattern. This yarn is available at AC Moore, and it is also available at premieryarns.com. So you have two different sources. And if you are close enough to an AC Moore store, it's wonderful if you can go in and see all the different colors available in this yarn. So this would look pretty in any of the color combinations of the yarn. Again, this is the Anti-Pilling DK Colors Stacked Shell Shawl. Just look for this picture when you get online on either website, and you can find this as a free downloadable pattern. So thank you everybody for stopping by, and I want to say a special thank you to AC Moore and Premier Yarns for giving me special permission to bring this crochet tutorial to you today. So thank you to both AC Moore and Premier Yarns. Thank you everyone for stopping by today, and as always, happy crocheting!